Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hosts of Gov 2.0 Summit, the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, Tim O'Reilly, and the founder and president of the Highlands Group, Dick O'Neill.
Hi, thanks for coming out. I'm Tim, and this is Dick. We're going to be your hosts today. So, 5 years ago, in conjunction with TechWeb, I launched an event that's now known as the Web 2.0 Summit. The term Web 2.0 came to be used for a whole lot of technologies, search engines, online advertising, user contribution systems, video sharing, and now, lately, social networking and cloud computing. But at its heart, I always saw Web 2.0 as an exploration of what it meant for the network to become a platform. And what I had noticed was that all of the systems that had succeeded on the web really treated the users as co-contributors of the system. These were systems that literally got better the more people worked on them, the more people used them. And that insight has remained central to me. So a few years later, people started using the term Gov 2.0. And we started wondering a little bit about what that meant. The term really caught on after President Obama, using social media technologies, came into office, and so we started hearing a lot about Gov 2.0. But I actually decided to launch this conference after a conversation with Tom Khalil, who's now Deputy Director of Policy at the Office of Science and Technology Policy. Tom and I were talking about some of the big problems facing the country, the world, and Tom was urging me to help try to get the computer industry and the many people that I'm involved with in technology to focus on some of these problems. I've elsewhere called this working on stuff that matters. I'd started giving some talks about how too much of the computer industry seemed to be focused on trivia. And I saw these massive problems. I said, gee, we really got to do this. So I started thinking about how to get more Gov content into our Web 2.0 events. But Eric Farrow at TechWeb had a different idea. He said, we should do an event in DC. So here we are. So at the outset, I just started talking to people. And Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, gave me some very, very good advice. He said, Tim, with your Web 2.0 story, you really looked at a lot of things, you talked to a lot of people, and then you told us what you learned. Do the same thing for government. So I talked to people, and I've talked to many of you out here in the audience. Some of you I persuaded to appear here on stage, or at our companion event that we held yesterday, the Gov 2.0 Expo Showcase. I've learned a lot. But one of the most important things I learned, first off, is that the idea of the kind of people who work in government is just wrong. If you're out there, in America, you tend to think of, the government bureaucrat who doesn't know how to get things done, sitting in some office out of touch with the people. And instead, I met all these people who are passionate, hardworking, working hours sometimes and facing obstacles that would just totally crush a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. So first thing I just want to say is I am so blown away and impressed by those of you who work in government. Your heart, your passion, your desire to do important work. And it is so appreciated. But the second thing that became clear to me was that many of the same ideas that I had explored in Web 2.0 really do apply to Gov 2.0. And specifically, I really became concerned with the idea that a lot of people are starting to equate Gov 2.0 with the use of social media by government. And the story that emerged as I talked to people was that the really powerful way to think about Gov 2.0 is to think about government as a platform. Now let me translate this back to technology with a recent example. And that is the Apple iPhone. The way smartphones used to work is a lot like the way Gov 1.0 worked. Somebody sits in a room, decides that this is what we're going to offer. This is the way the program looks. And they work with their own people, with perhaps some carefully chosen partners, and they came out with an offering. And the people took it or left it. And Apple had a different idea. They built a platform. And what that meant was that they built some number of the applications, but the market ended up building so many more. So there are now more than 70,000 applications for the iPhone in less than a year. That's the year and a half. That's the power of a platform. Now we see amazing instances of that in the government space as well with technology. The most famous, of course, probably being the internet itself. This was a government project that kind of got out of hand. But we also see it in something like location-based services, which are one of the hottest things in the computer industry. This is something that was originally developed and put up by the government. The Air Force put up GPS satellites, but they made a crucial policy decision, and that was to release that information and allow the private sector to use the satellite signal as well, albeit at a slightly degraded level. And as a result, over the last 20, 25 years, we've seen the development of what is now a huge industry. So the government made a decision, they built a platform, and the private sector then took it and ran with it. And so that's the model. Lynn Wells from National Defense University asked me yesterday, what were my hopes for this event? And my hope is that somewhere people in this audience or influenced by the things we talk about and learn here will make some similarly potent, powerful policy decision that will have huge downstream consequences, because it will open up some whole new market in which the public sector kicks off something that the private sector then takes and runs with. So, and that's really the promise of new initiatives like data.gov. Vivek Kundra has really tried to say we're actually starting to look at the government's data assets as a platform. And of course, data is one of the heart, is really the heart of Web 2.0 applications. So I think there's a real lot of promise here. For the first time, outsiders are going to be able to build applications against government data assets without having to go through some kind of negotiation process. And that's that kind of a rapid evolution that we've seen out there on the internet. Dick, one of the things that I also did when I was trying to get my brains around this is I realized I needed somebody who had experience here in DC to help me with the program. And I reached out to Dick, who I originally met through the Highlands Forum, which is an organization that works with the Department of Defense and on forward-looking technology. And Dick's been an amazing partner for me in developing this program.
Thank you. So I came about this a little bit differently. This is O'Reilly O'Neill, this sort of like Irish fraternity here, but we're bi-coastal. Tim sort of comes at this in the Silicon Valley approach, and I've been here in Washington for about 30 years. And I was very fortunate to actually have Tim help us a great deal with Highlands Forum over the years. The forum is, again, very different from an O'Reilly type of event. There would probably be 25 of you at a Highlands type discussion, which is conversations for 3 days. And they're very complimentary, so I'm really tickled to be a part of this with Tim. What we did over those years was to engage government leaders, decision makers, in small conversations with people who are on the creative edge. A lot of people from Silicon Valley, to be sure, and a lot of other people who are here in this room. The idea was to look at new ideas, get to concept development, and hopefully get to some level of investment and some level of greater understanding across government so that we could take these new ideas and work faster to get to better solutions. Things that we looked over at the last 10 years, things like social software, shared informational awareness, immersive environments, all led to something in those ways. In fact, Tim mentioned Lynn Wells, who was a great champion for us for all those years. But the thing that we really didn't get to as much in the early days when we were concentrating so much on the concept was what is key and central, I think, today. We're going to be talking about getting to measurable outputs. These are wonderful ideas, wonderful tools, wonderful technologies, but the notion is that we have to make them matter, stuff that matters. And so if we can get to measurable outputs on all these ideas that makes for better governance, we're going to be in really much better shape. The other thing I really think it's worth calling to your attention is that you're going to hear from people in the next 2 days who are on the leading edge of using these ideas that Tim is talking about in healthcare reform and education. Certainly there are people working on Diplomacy 2.0 and Department of Defense and Homeland Security. They're all doing things in that direction. And we really want to encourage you to meet with these people and listen to their ideas, whether it's during these sessions or outside. There are a lot of great ideas that are coming forward. But what we really want to do is to encourage you to appreciate that in addition to the government leaders who are here and the decision makers and the creators, the innovators, there are citizens who are a part of this whole thing, who are creators as well on the edge. And that is what Carl Malamud's going to talk about tomorrow in the opening of By the People. Because so much of this is that promise that opens up the compact between government and the citizens to make governance. So we're really excited about what's possible here.
Yeah, and I think a really important point, we call this the Gov 2.0 Summit because we really do see it as a meeting of leaders. There are people here from government, from the technology community, from the NGO community, people who've been working on open government from the inside, people who've been working on open government from the outside. And we really hope that this conversation between all of you will actually lead ultimately to action, to decisions, to huge downstream consequences.
So, those of you who are ready to engage in some real live interactivity, we are tweeting and blogging. If you're looking for the conference hashtag, #GovToS, you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, GovLoop, and LinkedIn. And there'll be slides up available telling you more if you are new to this. I'm sure you can get instructions from somebody here. There's more than a few Twitters in the audience, I think.
That's right. We're also videotaping all of the sessions, and the video should be available starting this afternoon and through the following week, unless the speaker has explicitly requested that it not be posted. So if somebody has a terrible gaffe, maybe they're going to ask us not to. The speaker presentation files will be available on the Gov2 Summit website. Again, some speakers may choose not to share their files, but we don't expect that to be true. I also want to just, before we get on with the program, I just want to acknowledge some of the many people who helped us build the event. We had a program committee, a set of people who worked very hard to help us identify the people, reach out to them, the people we want to put on stage. If you're in the audience, you may want to stand up so people can see who you are, unless you're bashful. Okay, I guess everybody is either bashful or... And I also want to thank our sponsors. You'll see them out in the sponsor gallery, and I hope you'll visit them there. We couldn't do an event like this without our sponsors, and we also have a bunch of networking functions where you can meet with them. And by the way, speaking of networking and also of sponsors, we had a great party at Google last night, and I want to thank them for that. And it was a great way to kick off the event. And for those of you who enjoyed breakfast, you can give your thanks to HP for sponsoring the breakfast.
And don't forget that there's a reception tonight. So immediately after the program ends today, this is really a cool way to extend the conference and to make great networking opportunities happen, to make the conference continue to have power and value. There'll be a reception with food and drinks sponsored by Booz Allen Hamilton in the sponsor gallery outside the room. So please come by and keep the energy going. And that's it for me. Tim, thanks very much.
All right, thanks, Dick. Dick's going to be on and off with me throughout.